Miss you, brother. Whiskey and arm wrestling. Oh, I wonder who that is. And bam, we're live on the Sevan Podcast. No, very, very, very soon, guys. Log into the Sevan Podcast, and you can hear us go live any minute now. It's on our YouTube station, and bam, we're live. Okay. I'll see you guys later. Do you like carbs? No, I don't like carbs. I mean, I like carbs, but I don't like carbs. I mean, I like carbs, but I don't like carbs. Shoot, what am I doing? I'm trying to hang up. How do I hang up this live chat? End now. Delete video. Discard. Brian Friend, Ryan Jevning, producer Matt, who's waiting for the illustrious and amazing guest. Matt O'Keefe will be with us for the first 10 or 15 or 20 minutes today. And then we are going to go through some list. I'm ashamed to know, I don't know the exact title of this list, but it is the fittest people on the planet of all time. Like, who are the best of the best? And Brian Friend actually gave us this list with images provided by Ryan Jevning earlier. I don't know, it's 3 months ago, 2 months ago.
They're episodes 81 and 82 if anyone wants to go back who missed them.
And we have we've refined the list. People have paid Brian. Brian has felt peer pressure, and other competitions have happened. And with those
Josh
three,
Bridges.
Josh Bridges specifically put pressure. People threatened his life, and after these many outside pressures, Brian has changed his list. No, the real reason is the CrossFit Games have happened, and Brian told us ahead of time that the games would alter the list. So we're gonna revisit it. I was freaking out that we didn't have a podcast today. So Brian was nice enough on his day off from the podcast to be like, all right, I'll come on. And Souza and got O'Keefe to be a special guest. Hopefully that'll give us some more viewers and more change in the YouTube account. And Ryan Jevning showed up. You guys can't see him, but he is fully attentive while he fuels himself.
Sevan, what do you think about my name on the YouTube channel today?
The Sevan Podcast, episode 137, Brian Friends.
No, look on the actual YouTube video. It says your name.
Oh, shit, Danielle Brandon. Who did that? Is that Jevning fucking with you?
I think so.
That's awesome. Mr. O'Keefe, what's up, brother?
How are you? What's up, boys?
Hey, Matt.
What's going on?
The mature Matt O'Keefe, one of our biggest episodes of all time.
I'm not the biggest anymore. I've lost.
There was we had Rich Froning and Dave Castro, I think, have you. But I think your show maybe has more views than like Noah and Danielle Brandon and Miss Personality herself, Laura Horvat. Damn, Laura, you got punked. You're asleep right now, right? Where's she? Belarus? Hungary.
How are you guys?
Good. I'm sick as a dog, actually.
COVID?
No, I actually a friend of mine does the testing, and I went to his house this morning, and he swabbed me up. You know, I'm like sick, like I guess like the way CrossFitters get sick. Like I have all the symptoms, but I still like everything else is normal.
So you have COVID. Okay.
Like I still work out. I still like say inappropriate shit to my wife. I still chase my kids around. You know what I mean? I still like dusted spiders out of the garage today. Like it doesn't affect. I just like my throat is sore. Have you had COVID, Matt?
Not that I know of, but I'm certain I've had it.
Right. How could you have not, right?
I traveled a lot in COVID, like early. I was going to Tennessee quite a bit. I was in Spain when it really heated up like beginning of February that year. Who knows? I'm sure. I've never had anybody test, or I'm vaccinated, so.
I was in Wuhan.
Were you?
No. But I'm just trying to get my story better. You're like, I was in Spain. Fuck you. I was in Wuhan.
I was with somebody the other night. I was at a local meeting for coach soccer, and this woman was talking about how she does some sort of like lab education, and she was in Wuhan in December that year.
Oh, damn.
So she has to be like patient zero.
Well,
in the hospital.
in all honesty, the gym that Avi does his jiu-jitsu at 3 to 5 days a week, and I have 2 other kids. They're really just training partners for Avi, but I should mention their name once in a while, Ari and Joseph. They train at a place, and there was a guy there visiting from Wuhan who was there in December and January training at the gym. So I mean, shit. And man, December of 2019 and January of 2020, man, there was a sickness sweeping through Santa Cruz, California that was fierce. I mean, not me. I don't eat sugar, refined carbs, and I do CrossFit, so I'm bulletproof. But the rest of you fucking pussies,
You're good.
negligent people who don't value life as much as me.
The real question is, Ryan, how did you get mixed up with these two?
Brian or Ryan?
Ryan.
Actually, I mean,
I still can't hear him. You guys can hear him?
I can hear him.
So Matt, I got into with Sevan just because I saw the Josh Matt Sevan podcast, and I felt like I could help start a clip channel, and that's kind of what I did. So yeah, now I'm helping do the live stream and all that. So yeah,
we're social media friends, Mr. O'Keefe. We're social media friends. Me and Ryan. No one else can see Brian. Other people can't see you, right? Just me. They can hear you, but only me, Matt, and Brian can see you.
that is correct. Yeah.
It's weird too, Matt, because like he's there for the whole show and we can see him, and like sometimes he's eating, or like I'll say something funny and he doesn't react, or like I say something that I think is true and he starts shaking his head.
Like, don't talk to me. I'm not supposed to be here.
I don't know. Mr. Hopper is like professing his love for you,
Really?
Publicly on Instagram. I saw a post. Your newest. Did you hear my monologue aggressively attacking you? Did anyone tell you about it?
No.
No.
I do. What can we replay it right now?
Basically, I was just bashing you for like not like you're sandbagging. Like you're sandbagging. Like you pick these dudes like Jason Hopper to represent, and Matt Fraser, and just these winners. You have all these winners, and it's like you just take it's like you're cherry picking, and like I want to see you take someone like Colton Mertens and polish a turd. Sorry, Colton, that wasn't fair. I love you, Colton.
Man.
But instead you're grabbing you're just cherry picking. It's totally.
Did you ever think for a second that maybe people come to me at times?
It's a good point. It's a good point. I didn't. I'm very, very closed-minded like that. That might have to change. You're ruining my whole stand-up bit.
I'm not, but yeah, Jason's a great kid. I mean, it's funny. I got off the phone with Vellner. His wedding is in a week. I'm going up there for it. And
do you represent him too?
I do.
I rest my case, Your Honor.
I've been with Pat forever. I got Pat as a client because of Matt.
Okay.
So Pat asked Matt, they became friendly early on because they're in the same region. And Pat said, hey, like, I think I need some help with the business side of this. And he said, well, you should use the guy that I work with. So that's how I met Pat. That was like 6-7 years ago. But we were talking about Hopper and Justin. I was just in Miami on a trip. We were doing filming for Wodapalooza's online qualifier, and Justin and Jason were there. Danielle Brandon, Tola, Bailey, Christy Aramo. And Christy Aramo was like the elder statesman. She's in her 30s. But I was saying that the generation gap's real for me now. Like when I met Pat and Matt, they were like, in their early 20s, and I was in my early 30s. Now in my 40s, and these kids are all 22, and it was like very real, the gap. On this trip, I was like, I'm gonna go back to the hotel at like 10 o'clock. Like, you guys have fun tonight,
Yeah, I'm feeling you. When we interviewed Justin Medeiros the other day, I can't believe I'm interviewing a 22-year-old guy.
He's incredible. He's
so young, and I felt the age difference.
It is wild. Like I'm always fascinated with that. Was even with the crop, the elder crop now, but at 22, I was not thinking about what they were thinking about.
Dude, it was pretty crazy. I was doing a study of because I don't know if you saw the Pit Team Throwdown had an 18 and 19-year-old division this past weekend. And I was
Oh,
trying to
cool.
look back and see like how many times have an 18 or 19-year-old person qualified to the games. And when I was going back and tracking like the youngest athletes by year, I dated back to 2013 for the study. And it's crazy when you get to like 2015 and the top 3 women were Tia, Katrin, and Sarah, and they were all 22, 22, 23 years old and already at the top of the sport.
It is wild. And they'd stayed there for a long time, you know? Yeah, it is fascinating. I mean, Brian, you've probably studied it all, like when peak in strength and, you know, comparatively to men. Matt always talked about it with weightlifting, like women would be better at certain ages, and but that is wild considering there is a younger crop of men coming. There is some the girls too. You see Mal O'Brien and Haley, but you know, Justin won. You know, he's winning at this point at that age. It's crazy.
In a very dominant fashion, I might add. Like, by the way, for those of you who don't know, Matt O'Keefe is coming out with a book, a children's book. It's called When Pat Asked Matt, and it should be released in a few months.
Almost, well, like fingers were crossed where that one was going.
I just heard you say that line, and I just thought, oh, well, that's a great children's book. You said, well, Pat asked Matt, and I was like, oh, that's your children's book.
Oh, Keith, I think I gave you even a hard time about it on Instagram when you got caught up in the fray on the raft down there in Miami. But when you talked to Jason, he said you were the instigator.
I was the instigator.
I don't know. He put it on you.
I mean, I was trying to relate a little bit at times, and then realized my age quickly. Got on the boat and watched them horse around for a few hours. There was a lot of testosterone on that mat. There's a lot going on.
I assumed looking at it, I see you on the side. I'm like, oh, you know, Keith's just trying to enjoy it here. Next thing you know, these like guys are wrestling on the thing next to him. And he's like, holy shit, get me out of here.
That is more like it, but it was fast. It always is when you get that. Like that trip every year is a blast because it's post games. We come down to Miami, have a good time. We do some filming, but it's like more of that. What you saw, like boats and good, you know, having fun going out in Miami, and you know, the competitiveness that comes out of that day to day is insane. Those, like, you really see how competitive these guys are when they're playing like a Monopoly card game or, you know, whatever. I mean, I think they were making games up. Like they were playing some stupid game in the pool that's supposed like some rendition of horse, but there was no basket and there was no basketball, you know, and they were like fighting over who's winning. It was like, okay, guys.
Hey, does that make you uncomfortable? That intensity sometimes? Like if I was there and those guys are wrestling on the mat, like I would start to get uncomfortable. Like I can't explain it. Not anything like specific, like they should or shouldn't do it. I would just start getting nervous. Like someone's going to get upset or someone's going to get hurt or like, I don't know. It would be weird. Like, I don't know. I would have trouble chilling.
Yeah. I mean, not anymore. I mean, I think early on, like, I guess I cut my teeth with Matt, you know, because he was the first guy I met. And Matt was always borderline unhealthy competitive, you know, and you'd get groups together and it would be very competitive no matter what they were doing. And it was always like, yeah, I understand that. It's like uncomfortable. Like, hey, you know, we're not on the floor right now. And it's like they actually have fun with it. Like, I think they have it in a good place. They're a really mature group. Again, beyond their years. No, I don't like, in terms of getting hurt, it's at the point where, like, even though you're 22, you're an adult. Like, if you don't know better to not get hurt, like, you know, I'm not going to babysit you. So, you know, and everything was like somewhat reasonable.
Somewhat reasonable. Hi, Brenda. Thanks for the $1.99. You're good. You're a good gal. You're a good dude. You're a good dude. And Matt did get hurt, didn't he? Did Matt get hurt? He blew out an eardrum or something?
This was my fault. That's probably what Jason's talking about. I tackled him off the boat. I was like, you know, trying to act young, and he hit his head sideways when we went in the water together. He slammed his head on the side, and he came out and he's like, "You mofo, you just blew my eardrum." And I was
He
like,
knew it right
"Well,
away.
he did know it right away." I was like, "Yeah, I mean, we had been horsing around for like an hour, but."
And so, what does that mean? Is that bad? Isn't that what happened to Miko Salo at the CrossFit Games one year?
It can be really bad, you know, in terms of like equilibrium, and there's layers of it. He's gone through a lot of your stuff since he was a kid, so it was kind of matter of fact. He's good.
He was probably vaccinated. That's a common side effect amongst kids who are vaccinated. A lot of ear problems. I'm not joking.
Yeah, he was. I was with him last night. Actually, I drove up to Vermont. He's good. Yeah.
Where are you now? Are you in Vermont? Are you in like in a back bedroom at Matt's house?
No, I'm home. I came home this morning. I just went.
You should have stayed in Vermont this weekend. The Green Mountain Disc Golf Championship is happening there.
Are you flying in?
No, but you know, it could have been fun to watch.
I think that's something that Matt could really embrace and get into, because I've tried the golf route and he's defiant. So maybe disc golf is the path.
You should get Matt into that.
O'Keefe, I had this idea of doing an interview while playing disc golf with an athlete, because Tommy Marquez also plays, and so we were like, man, it'd be cool if like we got one of the guys, because there's actually some competitors that play. Pat Vellner plays sometimes. But anyway, so yeah, but that would be cool to like do a little interview while you play, film some shots, have a conversation.
I've loved watching your progression with it. You look like you just competed recently.
Yeah, I did my first ever competition.
How'd it go?
It is great learning experience. I mean, it's similar to anything. Once you got to you put yourself out there in an uncomfortable situation, you learn a lot right away, and then learning curve is pretty steep. And then I'm going to do another one later at the end of this month.
Yeah, it's if it's anything like regular golf, I do regular golf competitively, and it's like an out of body experience. You know, when you have to like actually put the ball in the hole, or you can't go on to the next hole, it's like. It's really,
dude. It was a huge.
Did you describe golf as an out of body? Putting the ball in the hole is an out of body experience. You got your sports crossed up. There's some out of body experience sports. That's not one of them.
That was teed up for you. I knew
Jeez
that.
Louise, out of body experience.
Golf.
Have you ever heard anyone else describe golf as them having an out of body experience?
Yeah, definitely.
Go to a golf tournament. Like individual sports are like that. It's relatable to probably what the guys go through in CrossFit, but it's like. You're on your own, you're on an island, and that ball seems so easy to hit straight when you're just doing it with your buddies, but when it's on the line, it gets hard.
No, it's a mental thing too. Like if I'm practicing and I have a bad putting green, take 3 shots when I probably need 1 or 2 at most, then I just on the next hole practicing, it's whatever. Okay, be aggressive, commit to your line. But in the tournament, when you 3-putt the second hole and all of a sudden you have a double bogey and everyone else is 1 under par, then you're cautious the rest of the time, and it could be relate to CrossFit. You go out there, you're feeling great. The first 2 events, you bomb it. Like, how are you going to respond to that?
Brian, I just watched our viewer count drop by 30. Don't do that again.
I saw it go up by 10.
Don't do that again. Matt, do you think Fraser would have wrestled if he was still competing? Like would he have partaken in those shenanigans if he was still competing, Matt, last year or 2 years ago?
No.
Interesting.
Not as much. Definitely cautiously, if at all.
Yes. I mean, he told a story about how he had like COVID test on his porch for anyone who was coming into his house prior to the games.
I mean, that was me. I flew in there quite a bit in COVID leading up to the games. It was really most of the travel I did. I'd go down every couple of weeks, and I would get off the plane, walk in, mask on, take a shower, take a COVID test upstairs. When I got a negative, I'd come down, and then we were still cautious throughout the time I was there, just in case,
Yeah, that's interesting. And do you think is that something he's going to pass on to those guys? Is that something that you think he might say to Justin or Hopper? Hopper, it was weird. We had him on the show, and I think he said that Matt and Marconi are his coach now, although it seemed a little slippery the way he was saying it. I mean, he said it like 4 or 5 times. It just I don't know why it just didn't land in my brain.
Call Jason slippery?
Maybe I did. Maybe I did. But will Matt tell him stuff like? First of all, let me before I get to myself. Is that correct? Did I hear Jason Hopper tell us correctly on the show that Marconi and
Jake is coaching him. He's doing HWPO programming. Yep.
And it's like a pro version.
Correct. Yeah, that's in process for more of the general public, but right now, that's it's a more beefed up version of what people would subscribe to.
And do you think that those are the kind of things that they would tell Jason, hey, that horse shit you pulled on the boat, that's a no-go for people who are serious about the games?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, and Matt's been very willing to talk to anybody that's competitive. I think he really wants to mentor the next generation in general. We'll see if he takes on, athletes more, if he becomes more closed down to that. I do think he'll still be a relative open book on that. He feels like a lot of people helped him when he put his hand up and said, hey, I have a question, and he'd like to do the same. But I think that would just tie into his mindset of all in. But that specifically, yeah, if in a moment, I think people that, he was associated with, if he saw things that he would call out, certainly. But
would you say it as their agent? Would you also?
Yeah, I mean, that certainly is stuff that, definitely came up along the 8 years with Matt, where it'd be like, all right, dude, enough. Be careful. Early on, but he got it real quick. I mean, Matt was to the point late in his career where it was he went to bed at the same minute, woke up at the same minute. When he wasn't working out, he was on the floor rolling out or stretching and eating the same exact foods every day, going to bed with a dawn simulator, waking up with what, he was so choreographed that, when he was done that those last few years, it was he was handling himself with kid gloves. It was just about getting him to the games and, good shape and in one piece.
I never hear Dawn Simulator, by the way, when anyone says it. All I hear is Dong Simulator. Ever since that show I did with him. Matt goes to sleep with the Dong Simulator. Yeah, I get it.
We're 3 for 3. You're grabbing onto everything.
Who have you picked up this year? Who do you represent this year? So Jason Hopper is new to the crew. Anyone else that you could tell us?
Not new at this point, no. He would be the only one new. Generally, this is a time of year where there's possibly some moving around. Some people have maybe realized some success and think they need some help. So, but yeah, he was pre-games, so we started working with him after, in between the MAC and the games. And
do you have trouble sleeping at night that you didn't get Danielle Brandon? Do you ever just wake up and your right hand just you're just punching yourself in the dick? God damn it, how did she get away?
I know, it's I'm a big fan of hers. I got to spend some time in Miami for the first time, really personally. I'd met her before she competed at my event in Vegas. She's a super cool kid, but you can't, I mean, there's what's the saying? There's an ass for every seat. I don't profess to be a fit for everybody.
Right.
So
you're pretty damn good. You're pretty damn cool.
Thank you. Appreciate that. But yeah, I mean,
the only people I know who don't like you because of how cool you are.
Well, I appreciate that. Can you list them, please?
No.
I can list them.
I don't want to spread. Oh, I should have worn my HWPO shirt. I had I put on my black one before the show started that Dave fixed for me. Speaking of people who love you to death, and ma'am, I'm just joking. I know you and Dave have a good relationship. I'm just busting your balls. When is Wodapalooza?
It is January 12th to the 16th. So Martin Luther King weekend in Miami.
January. I'm pretty sure that Martin Luther King got canceled, but we'll just go with that until that's confirmed. So it's in there. The next Wodapalooza will be in 2022. How far is that from now?
It's like
Was that 4 months?
Yeah, 120 something days, or whatever.
But who's counting?
Who's counting? It's coming in like a freight train. It's like now is it's.
And I heard a train. Someone has a train in the background. Right when you said that, I heard. Oh, that's awesome.
On cue. that is yeah, it's funny. I was talking to someone about an hour ago about this. They're like, "How are you doing?" I'm like, "It's now." Like Wodapalooza is a 6-month experience for us. It's a lot of work. We got 1,100 volunteers, and we'll have 20,000, 30,000 people do our qualifier, and then you got to whittle it down to 2,500, and there's a lot going on. It's busy.
When does the qualifier start?
First week in October is individual, and then like it's 10 days, and then there's like a short break, and then there's a team portion after for 10 days. So most of October we're live with qualifying workouts.
A couple of members at our gym are signing up for the qualifier.
Are you, Brian?
No.
Yeah, it's I'm
coaching them through it though.
I've missed you haven't been, Sevan, right?
No, yeah, I went 1 year. Kind of.
Okay, yeah.
Maybe 2 years. Maybe I've been 2 years. For sure 1 year, but it was zero experience for me. Like, you know what I mean? Like I was there, I was in and out.
Yeah. Were you there the year Greg was there?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. It's wildly bigger than it was then, and it started to really pop then. I'm psyched. I mean, all the work that it is a lot. It's painful at times, but it's all worth it that week. That week is awesome. It's honestly just, you can't even describe it till you experience it. We're excited. Like, we're broadcasting it for free this year for the first time, so there's like a lot of great improvements. We've taken a lot of heat for our broadcast in the past. We had a paywall, and we are doing that, free to the public, streaming. We're building bigger stands for people because there's, we have one issue, which is a good problem, but every year we grow at a rate that we can't predict, and people can't get a seat. So we're building bigger seats, new stages. It's going to be a badass event.
In the same beautiful location down there by the water?
It is. Yep, it is. We were down there last week checking it out. It's fun. You got to come this year.
I know. Maybe I will. Maybe I'll start driving now, because the likelihood of me getting on an airplane is like.
We're going to build a desk for people to podcast. We did that a couple years ago. It was really fun. They go live from like the partner quad where everybody's kind of eating and chilling and shopping, and people can hear it, and it's also recorded. You should come down and podcast. Yeah,
that would be awesome. You want to tell you a funny story? So this year I applied for media credentials for the CrossFit Games, and I got them. They were nice enough to give them to me, but I didn't go. And Brian was there working for CrossFit, but then he had a hiccup with his job, so he got he got released from his duties for CrossFit on day one. So we had a lot of free time to do all that shit for the Sevan podcast, and we were murdering it, right? Me, Ryan, and Brian, and Susan, we were doing like 4 podcasts a day.
I was on.
Oh, great. Yeah, that was one of our big ones. Yes.
I stopped in.
And so since Brian was free, at one point he goes to this location. He's like, because he was doing them from the venue, and it was so fucking loud. And I'm like, and it was right before we were about to go live. I'm like, dude, what the fuck's wrong with you? You picked the worst location in the world. He goes, you'll never believe where I am. And I go, where? He goes, I'm in the area that the CrossFit Games has set up for people to do podcasts. And I go, well, is anyone else there doing podcasts? It's unbelievably loud. He goes, no, I'm the only one. And there was like 12 tables or 6 tables or something, this huge area. But they put it in Vendor Village, which made it completely unusable. It was like an echo chamber. And we didn't do the podcast from there. Brian went outside and just sat on a step or something. But yeah, so that's cool. Are you suggesting that your location where you set up to do podcasts has the better. Acoustics?
It does. It'll be better than that. Yeah, we're outside too. That being inside, that's probably made it tough. I didn't even see where that was actually.
It was a good idea. It's a great idea.
It is. It is like that. Media. We started that as like a media center idea. We'll see where we get. We'd like to build a desk for, people. The broadcast to be live from between workouts, and a spot for people like yourselves to go live. So it'll be fun.
Do you think I could? Do you have any good coffee vendors there?
We always do. It's been different every year. Like we've had, Black Rifle's been, I think, Good Dudes has come before. I think they're coming back. Dan has a coffee company now, God's Country. I'm sure they came to another event of ours. I think they're coming or should be there. So
He was at Granite Games, yeah.
Dan doesn't even drink coffee.
Oh, he does.
He does now?
Well, yeah, he was involved in Good Dudes, and then he then.
But I don't think he drank it when he was involved with Good Dudes, did he?
He's a coffee drinker.
All right, if you say so.
Yeah.
I'll take your word for it. Okay, so the teen division there. So the Granite Games are January 12th through the 16th.
That's
online
Wodapalooza.
What did I say?
Granite Games.
Jesus, do you do the Granite Games?
We do. We own the Granite Games. Yeah.
And is Wodapalooza the next event?
That
coming up on your schedule?
On mine, yeah. Rogue is next, obviously,
right.
on the calendar.
And you don't own the Rogue one, right? Imagine if I would have said the Rogue one.
Wait, okay.
I know he doesn't, Brian.
When's Madrid?
I know. What?
Madrid is in mid-October, the second weekend in October. We do own that. And
so that's the next one, I think.
That's our next one. Our local partner is running that this year. We're supporting a little from afar. I'm planning on going. We'll see what happens with travel.
But I imagine it's gonna be almost exclusively Europeans this year.
It is. Funny enough, some Americans have qualified. It's not really. There's some elite athletes competing, like Zach George is competing. I think Adrian Winweiler, like some guys. There's like a small amount of prize money, and they've competed at some stuff in Spain in the past, but. No big competitors are going, but some, I would say, like semifinal or quarterfinal level athletes are qualified, from the USA.
Yeah, I think a bunch of new travel restrictions just came down coming out of Europe too. I think I saw yesterday.
I mean, it's like, we were looking at it. I mean, the last thing I need is to get stuck somewhere. So that's kind of where I'm at this point.
Oh, you mean like go to Madrid and not be able to come back?
Yeah, I mean, you've heard some stories about that from the first round of COVID, right? So, I mean, I think we're probably a little better equipped to handle the whole shebango now, but I'm not interested in being stuck in Europe for 3 months.
I have a close friend whose father was stuck in the Philippines for 14 months.
Not
for arms dealing, drug dealing, or COVID?
Because of COVID response protocols and restrictions.
Oh my goodness!
That's a costly 1 week vacation. Buy a house.
Oh my goodness!
Stay for a while.
He got married twice and had 3 venereal diseases. Holy cow! Oh my God! 14 months in the Philippines.
Oh, I love that the number one thought on your mind with the Philippines is he got venereal disease. There we go.
I mean, it's just because it's a mixture of someone that Brian knows in the Philippines, and I put those two together, and I just get.
We had someone on a couple of weeks ago. They were from West Virginia, and he's like, "Wait, so your dad is your cousin?"
So I'm so glad I messed up calling it the Granite Games, and that's your event, because that makes perfect sense.
This is when Ryan's really happy. His face is on the screen.
So Wodapalooza, the online qualifier starts in October. Is anyone just automatically in, or does everyone have to go through the order, the protocol?
You have to register for and do the qualifying workouts. There are divisions you can register for that don't have qualifying criteria other than that you did the qualifier. So that sounds confusing. There's, elite, RX, intermediate. We have 40 divisions, masters, every age bracket, adaptive. We were the first to do adaptive. And it's a big piece of what we do. So there's qualifying spots to all these divisions, and then there's these beginner and scaled categories that we don't necessarily have people qualify for. We have people sign up for that after, but they have to have participated in the qualifier, and that's first come first serve is my point.
Okay, but basically, like there's some great CrossFitters out there. Let's say Pat Vellner, for instance, he still has to qualify.
No. We'll invite we set some criteria for invites. So there's, games finish this year, podiums at the games historically, wins, finishes at other, larger scale events like Rogue, Dubai, semifinals. We try to take that, professional group and, not, require those, bigger name athletes to do qualifiers is really what it is, so there always is a huge group. And, some of them choose to go team too, by the way. So there's an elite team category and elite individual teams of 3 males or 3 females. So we invite probably.
You guys are bringing that back this year?
We're going to go back
3
to our roots. Yeah. It's
I love
the reason we went the other way was because we had qualifying spots for the games, so
Right.
we just, we're going back to that, and everybody loves it. The response has been incredible. Like, thank God we're going back. But so you'll see some really cool super teams. We'll put some
Dude,
prize
it
money.
was impressive. I was doing something for Kristen one time, and I was looking at like the last time there was teams of 3 there, and I mean I was getting into the 20s, and there were still games athletes on teams at that competition.
It's like you'll see teams of, multiple winners on a team from the games. Like it's wild. That's really fun. We're gonna put our prize isn't announced, so I don't want to give Dylan and Arja to announce it here, but we're gonna have a massive prize purse this year. We're gonna be really. Nobody's gonna be competitive with Rogue, but we're gonna be competitive with Dubai, and with our prize purse this year. So there's a huge earning opportunity for athletes.
And then what happens after Wodapalooza? What's your next event after that?
Semifinals. So it would be West Coast Classic and Granite Games, whatever is a part of the semifinals season, which would be announced October 1st. So we're still working on that. And
so those two events are affiliated. Go ahead, Brian.
Can I ask a question? Is it when you're talking about like seeing competitive prize purses, are you more interested or excited in like the prizes for the top 1, 2, 3 increasing, or are you more interested in paying out more positions or the ability to pay out more positions?
We've traditionally paid what I would consider reasonably deep, especially for an off-season event, 20 deep. So we try to scale everything accordingly, but we do put a lot of weight on the podium. So the podium will be incredibly significant this year. When I got there, the top prize was 25,000. I think our first year we got it to like 35. It was 50 in 2020, and I think the first prize will be close to double that this year. So it's
Oh, wow.
the podium will be a significant earning opportunity for sure, like a year's living.
What are what have the main factors been in allowing that growth?
It's a give back policy that we have. It's like a forward investment growth thing where it's, we want to continue to grow that event, bring more people to Miami, get more people on the floor. And when we're successful, it's, important that we give back to the athletes. The athletes are who we are at our core. We really are an athlete first organization. So, it's money where your mouth is. Like we've always preached that. And, we want to continue to drive the sport forward. I mean, the games is the beacon, right? Like they give away the most prize money, and it's awesome. And Rogue's coming in hot, and we want to get to those type of numbers over time. So anytime we can, we're going to push.
Are you going to have some of the other competitions, the strongman, the weightlifting, anything new this year?
Yeah, so we're working on we have a weightlifting competition. It's like a bracket style weightlifting competition we've traditionally done. We've partnered with Spencer Arnold on that. He had a lot of success at the Olympics this year. I don't
Partnered
know,
with who? Say that person's name again.
Spencer Arnold.
Okay.
And he had, I think, multiple medalists at the Olympics this year. Catherine Nio got a silver medal, is an athlete of his. Harrison Marius, I think is his name. Maybe he finished 5th, but he's, stepped out as one of the, elite coaches in weightlifting in the USA. But so I don't know where we're at with him, but we've actually started to work on and would love to have a significant amount of people just do a traditional weightlifting meet. So that's in the works. I'm hoping it comes together.
Hey, that's pretty cool, by the way. We did like a little exhibition. There were probably like 15 of us who competed or participated in it, and I did it. It was the only time I've really done that format, and it put a different perspective. It gave me a different perspective on weightlifting. So that would be awesome if you made that available to like more just the public.
We would love to do it in a different way. I think like one of the only, and I think a lot of feedback comes, and guys like Matt have lifted their whole life. They lift, this individual is lifting, for 12 hours and there's all this cat and mouse. And we want to maybe put, 10 people from a division on a floor, kind of like they do at the games, and just have people lift, and then, create some excitement. And I would love a USA Weightlifting to sanction something like that and take a new look. And I think it would speak to their growth, because a lot of their growth has come from this crowd, and they
like all of it.
Yeah, and funny enough, like I actually really like that they give a lot of credit to that. There are a lot of people that wouldn't. They don't hold any punches there. They immediately talk about how CrossFit has taken them to the next level. So
it's probably done that for every sport, to tell you the truth. Like every sport. It's probably injected into badminton, to that thing that Brian does where you throw the plastic around. All of it has been changed by CrossFit, because people are fitter and they want to express their fitness, right? It
is interesting. I've been able to start to do some work here and there in some other sports, and golf being one of them.
Jiu-jitsu, I bet you a ton of CrossFitters have switched to the martial arts.
Well, a lot of people in UFC do some CrossFit, so like there's a kid, one of my favorite fighters, Michael Chandler, is a CrossFitter. He does quite a bit of it. And, there's still a lot of those guys will reach out to Matt. Like, he hears from some of those guys, how should I train? Give me some workouts. But yeah, that, we are very intent on looking at ways to bring more sports to that event is the answer, Brian. Over time, this year is like a unique year. Like, I was really bullish on adding 1,000 weightlifters, bringing MMA. I wanted to have a fight night, just like start to really, bring more festival to it. And COVID is uniquely still stepping on our throats, where we have to be a little cautious, kind of stick to our roots. We're going to be good. We've met with the city. It's outdoors. But, I'm hearing that Biden is going to drop some sort of, COVID vaccination sanction on any event over a certain amount of people, inside or out, moving forward, apparently this week. So
he dropped something today. Did you see what he dropped today?
Is that what it is? I didn't see it.
I didn't see anything about events. I'm sure it's in the small print, but I think the big one is that if you're a business and you have more than 100 employees, you basically have to get everyone vaccinated, or they have to test negative once a week, which basically in a nutshell is going to force, I think, businesses with over 100 people to mandate people get vaccinated, because who the fuck wants to build an infrastructure within their company that's also like a medical, you have to have a little hospital there to test 100 people a week, right?
We're doing it. Loud and Live is testing twice a week right now. So,
for the employees there?
Yeah. It's this, everybody's experiencing COVID in their office. So we've gone to twice a week. Tuesday and Thursday, there's mandatory testing if you're in the office.
If you
vaccinated or not, by the way. Yeah. So we just have had some of it floating around. So we've gone that route. But yeah, so that what he dropped includes events. Apparently, I've got to read up on it. So who knows what it means? But the chaos continues.
Yeah, maybe I won't even be allowed at your event.
Well, maybe. You can test. We can give you a PCR.
If you did it personally for me, that would make me feel safe.
I'm gonna leave that there just so it doesn't go somewhere else.
Matt, thanks for your time.
Awesome. It's great to catch up with you guys. Who else?
Yeah, that was good.
Who's next?
That's great having you on. Basically, after we kick you off here, Brian's going to give his list of the 10 all-time best CrossFitters, the revised edition. We've had to revise it since the CrossFit Games this year, and since you, I heard you sent him a check for $50,000 to get some of your people up to the top of the list. So
I gotta tune in for this one. I read Brian's article, so I might know who's going to be at the top of his list.
That article did make it your way, huh?
I did read it. Yes. I don't miss anything from you.
I haven't put too much out since the games. I've been hibernating a bit.
Hey, O'Keefe, a lot of people ask me what's going on with the Josh, Matt, and Sevan podcast, and I always just respond, I don't know. Maybe you're the person I should ask. What's going on with my podcast with Matt and Josh? Is that thing dead or is that thing still alive? Do you have any idea?
I asked the same question last night, and it was just like just a little break right now.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, we don't know. We don't know.
Let's bring it back to life down in Miami.
Yeah. Good. That's a good. That's a little long. I'd like to do maybe one or two in between that now and then. But
you can prep the people for a bit. Like, let's get like 20 guests lined up. I mean, the one thing about that event, and I know you're trying to get rid of me, but
go ahead.
The one thing about that event that is the most fun is it's sort of NBA All-Star-esque. Like everybody who competes, everybody who doesn't compete comes. So like Matt's there, Annie was there, Kat, like all these, Pat didn't even compete last, like one year, he competed last time. They all come down and just chill and roam around, do stuff for their sponsors. So there's always a lot of cool people roaming around to interview. So that's another reason to come.
Yeah, that is great. And I think the show would be much better if we did the interviews live. Hey, Brian, we could O'Keefe, do you have another 20 minutes?
Yeah.
You do? Brian, we could just change the title of the show and push off this top 10 thing for another day. You want to pick O'Keefe's brain for another 20 minutes?
I'm cool with it either way.
You game? Okay.
Or do you just want to drop your top 20, top 10, another person can be here to critique you?
No, I mean, I like to do those when we can have Hobart on, but he was unavailable tonight. It turns out, I think, for the better because we got you.
That's it. Ouch. You hear that?
More rare.
I hope Hobart
guest.
heard that. I hope Hobart heard that.
Oh, we might end up with both, is what I'm saying.
So why are so the Granite Games and the West Coast Classic are both pathways to the CrossFit Games?
They are.
But Wodapalooza is not. And for one of the most obvious reasons is the time, right? Because the events that are the pathway to the CrossFit Games have to happen after the Open. Is that correct? Am I thinking correctly?
Yeah, so they're all slotted in that May, June area on the calendar. So it just doesn't fit. Like we were actually with COVID going to try to do 1 year of this thing in May and thankfully not. Like it's just too hot and rainy and it's like it doesn't work. January is perfect in Miami.
Do you wish there was some way? Do you like Wodapalooza being its own thing outside of the CrossFit Games circus, or do you wish there was some way to get it in the loop with your other events, the Granite Games and the West Coast Classic? I
think that I would love for it to be a part of, something in the system for sure. Like I don't like it's one of those events that is such its own happening that and thing that there's not stress on where it sits and people love it and it's really the everyday athletes mark on their calendar. It's their Super Bowl. So whether it is or isn't a stress point, but it would be a really nice to have scenario where we're all linked together. And I think there's a day and a time and a place that happens where there's something that links that stuff in. It's just on an odd place on the calendar. It's like hard to say that plays a significant role in a season that, you as an organization want to be open and shut February to August, right? Which I can understand too. So, but I'd love for it to have greater significance with other things. I do really love that we have events in the season too, right? Like I love being a part of those. Those were really fun this year. What I really am excited about with those events is adding to them and allowing those to be bigger events for others that aren't even competing in the semifinal, but those semifinals to be more Wodapalooza-esque. Like there's, 25 divisions competing. The broadcast, you just see kind of that elite division, but there's more going on at those events.
When I'm gonna give you two like kind of stories here. When you show up to a hotel, if you bring a stack of 20s with you, like you bring $500 in 20s, and every person you run into, you give a $20 bill. There becomes a point when the hotel starts to feel like it's working for you. So you pull up in your car and you give the guy who opens your door a 20, then you give the guy who's like in the back getting your luggage out a 20, then you give the bellman a 20, then you give the person at the desk a 20, and you're basically, let's say you're staying there 2 weeks, and basically within the you give out $500 and $20 bills in your first 24 hours of being there, and the hotel starts really humming for you. And so, and I know a lot of people haven't been in hotels that have that are those kind of hotels, but they're all over the place. And when you have a country and you are let's say a drug cartel there that's against that's illegal, but you have more money than the government, you can do things like what happened in Mexico. Basically, what happened is the army came to shut down the cartel, and the cartel told them to go away, and the army went away. Do you remember that? That was like a year ago.
Yep.
And basically, what you see here is just basic economics, right? Whoever has the money is like they're kind of running the show, because money is human energy, right? Like you give like if you sent me $100, like I would say anything on my podcast for you. Of course, I'm coming to Wodapalooza. It's the greatest event in the history of the world. Like it's like you can buy my mouth, my human energy to do stuff for you, right? So what is giving CrossFit the CrossFit Inc. The CrossFit Games are the pinnacle of the sport. They claim to crown the fittest person in the world. Yep. Is it just the prize money that allows them that?
No.
Is it the people who go there? Like what if next year Matt decides to come back, but he just participates in Wodapalooza and wins Wodapalooza, but doesn't go to the CrossFit Games? Everyone's gonna be like, whoa, what the fuck? Then it's gonna put a kink in the armor of who the fittest, whoever wins the CrossFit Games. It's gonna do something weird to the event, right? I mean, it would do something weird to me. I'd be like, wait, so now we have this guy who was the 5 times champion who came back.
Well, what if Ben Smith beats Justin Medeiros at Rogue this year,
and then doesn't compete at the games?
Well, he didn't compete at the games this year.
He didn't qualify. Yeah,
he tried. He didn't make it.
I mean, the pundits would start speaking. I mean, there would be some, but before that's great. That's good, Brian. Before we go too much further, what makes, like, are we just waiting for someone to come up with bigger prize money? Like, is there a fight for which event is the crown jewel, the one that you want to win?
It's a really good question, and I think you can look at a lot of sport history. Let's say that action happened where somebody tried to stake claim to being the platform where you should test to be the best, which nobody else in the space is doing right now. Like Rogue, Bill and Katie aren't, saying this is the world championship. They're saying we're putting on a really cool showcase and test and giving a lot of prize money. We are at Waza too. Like we have people who win Wodapalooza that don't podium at the games sometimes, right? So that is, yeah. I mean, you've been a part of it so long, you can understand. It's tribal, right? Like it's the link to the affiliate and the system, and the allure of CrossFit is a thing, right? Like I think people like look at how people are licensing events globally. Those events are, particularly in other countries and regions, are super successful because they're a CrossFit event. I think there's more opportunity in the United States to be independent and still have success. It's just a different market. Not to say you wouldn't want to be a part of that, but I think the license carries a lot of weight in other markets, a ton of weight. And then, but it's CrossFit's done an incredible job marketing the whole idea of that being the only real test for the fittest. Like, Dave has the formula. That's a really hard thing to ever challenge or fight if you ever wanted to. I don't, I think that like, could I go and say, here, take this scenario. Wodapalooza is $1 million to the winner. 500,000 to second and 250 to third, and for men and women. I don't think unless we decided to like reformat this and make it 15 workouts and try to look and smell and feel like the games, anybody, and then the density of the field, comes, that anybody's going to say that that's, the best of the best. And even in year one, whoever won that event, it still would be like, I don't know. Like I would make the analogy to golf. So golf did this thing called the FedEx Cup. It's what they do now to crown their season Super Bowl champion of golf, really. For the first 3 years, it was like, what are they doing? Like, this is a disaster. Like, they've screwed this whole system up of how they like to find the best. And now I'm a huge golf fan, but it fits. It's like the Super Bowl, the Stanley Cup, the World Series, and then it's the FedEx Cup. Like, they made it happen, right?
And that's like, Sevan, just you win 15 million if you win the FedEx Cup. If you win a regular, if you win a regular major in golf, it's like 2 to 3 million.
So if you get your ball in the hole,
I think
you get the 15 mil, better than the other guys. Wow.
Yeah, that's a complex question, Sevan. Like I think it's
Hey, let me follow up with this a little bit since you brought up Bill and Katie. Do you know Bill Henniger?
I do.
And so I guess I'll go out on a limb here and say I know him too. And
where is this going?
I would guess that Bill would never say that the Rogue Invitational, it would never come out of his mouth that the Rogue, and I'm just guessing, this is pure speculation from the fact that I know him. It's kind of hard for me to say that. It's a little bit of an exaggeration. That would never come out of his mouth, that the Rogue Invitational crowned the fittest, but he would do it until I could see him doing it until it came out of everyone else's mouth. Like, do you know what I mean? Like I can see Rogue, the kind of man he is, he's going to let his work speak for itself. And the reason why I bring all this up is I'm sure you hear this too. The rumbling is like, hey, there becomes a point where the athletes are like, hey, what can I do that makes me the most money? And I know that sounds shallow. I don't mean to paint the athletes in a shallow way like that. It's actually more eloquent than that. They want the perfect season for them to express their art of participating in becoming the fittest human being alive. And what does it mean to get the right sponsors and to be at the right events and to peak properly? And they're people are exploring that now, right? I mean, you know that probably better than me, right? People are exploring, hey, what would a season look like without me doing the games? Could I still get good sponsors and money and blah, blah, blah?
Well, with what you're seeing occur now in those 3 bigger off-season events, Rogue, Dubai, and Wodapalooza, I certainly think that you'll see people focus a lot of energy on that from a peaking perspective. Knowing what we know about the sport is it could be very hard physically to be what you need to be in August if you want to be, at your best in this, October, December, and January. So that's the interesting thing. Like, the whole idea of like building this like cohesive touring system or, multiple event approach. What's the right amount of volume? I've always described these guys as prize fighters. You can get punched in the face a couple times a year, right? So it's like, really kind of, it's hard to define that. When you talk about Bill too, like Bill's amazing and been really good to me and our organization. And I've learned a lot from just talking to him, occasionally. And what he's so good at is that he's, very honed in on what he does, for Rogue and this in CrossFit too. Like, he's such a CrossFit, games fan and flag waver, but he is, I don't think Bill's focused on really anything except like really doing right by people that go to work every day for him and, people that he partners with, and, he just does the next right thing all the time. That's the best way I could describe him, honestly. And and that's athletes are such a huge part of that. And to see what he brought out this year was like, oh, it makes perfect sense. Bill like always does more and over the top for the athletes, and that's what that's about this year. That's not about anything else. It's like, how can I build a sick platform that Rogue's really proud of, and the athletes have a serious opportunity to earn. He's awesome. Bill and Kid are amazing. Like that, every one of those kids should be insanely grateful that they're a part of this.
They are amazing. They're fucking up by not coming on this podcast, but other than that, I mean, they are like damn near perfect. They are damn near perfect. I agree. It's amazing. I mean, when did you start popping onto the CrossFit scene, Matt?
2013.
Okay, so they were kind of around already, but I remember when Katie won the games and I went out and visited the gym, and it was just like, it was nuts. There was like, he was just an affiliate owner. I think he was a Marine, right? He was a Marine rubbing two nickels together, running an affiliate, and the guy has no quit in him. He has a work ethic that's like
relentless. He has it. She has it. Like they're just they got the secret sauce. That's for sure.
Yeah. And that is true that she did have it. Did she ever go to the WNBA? She was drafted, right?
She played.
She did play.
She's I've read a little on it, but she's I think she's Ohio State, a Hall of Fame, like arguably the best player to ever come out of there. Like she's a stud basketball
Have you ever
player.
seen her play?
I have not. I have worked out with her, and that's a humbling experience. She kick your ass in a workout, and like workouts that were good for me with rowing and things like that. She's fit.
I one time we went out and filmed with her. I don't know if it was 2008 or 9 or 10 when it was, but there was a basketball hoop set up in a gym that just had tons of shit in it, right? Like boxes and beams, and like it was no place to play basketball, but there was a hoop set up in there, and she could make the ball from anywhere, over boxes, over beams, behind her, with her eyes closed. It was nuts. She's like Harlem Globetrotters good. It was crazy.
Maybe that's why they don't let her play in that game.
The knockout tournament.
Tournament. No one would stand a chance. She's not even like she's like, it's not even.
Dave she's on the blacklist.
Yeah.
Never invite to knockout tournament.
Have you ever played in that, Sevan?
I played at his house with just me and him and his nephew and the boxer Robert Guerrero. We played.
Oh, nice.
And the four of us, and we played so much that the next day my shoulder was injured. And that's like when you were talking about at the beginning of the show about being old. Like, who would have ever thought, if you would have asked me 10 years ago, hey, can you hurt your shoulder playing basketball? I would be like, no. What are you, fucking crazy? It's a 4-pound ball or whatever. But the next morning I woke up and my shoulder didn't work.
Really?
Yeah, it's like that's what it's like being 49.
I don't know what you were doing, but you were doing it wrong.
I guess so. I guess just when you're 49, you can't push a 4-pound ball without, 500 times just cold. Oh yeah, look, there's Bill and Katie. Hey, have you been to Bill's ranch in Texas?
I have not. Nope.
Man, but you've seen the pictures.
Looks amazing.
And you want to be invited. You're like me. You've seen the pictures and you want to be invited.
Who doesn't?
That's about it for our similarities, Matt. Those are the only two things we haven't seen. You're vaccinated. I'm not. You talk to Matt. I don't. You know when the podcast is going to happen. I don't. But we both want to go to the Bill Henniger Ranch.
We both do. We'll go together. We'll just show up and knock. Jason
Hopper, when you take on a new client like that, are you invigorated? Like, tell me, are you invigorated? Like, okay.
I am.
Like, does your agent mind start firing up? Oh my God, this guy's gonna be perfect. He's gonna have his own kids show, and he's gonna be on a box of crackers, and I can't wait to get him lined up with this. Like, how's that work? How does he invigorate you, inspire you?
Yeah, I mean, anybody. Like, we work with Justin too. Like, any type of opportunity is a ball of clay, especially when they're that new and clean in terms of they haven't really done any endorsement deals. I feel like I have a really good formula with that, so I think it's exciting to get somebody that early and be able to help them build their brand, and the right mix to concentrate on athletics and sort of progress that way, because I think it can get really like I know it's super overwhelming to be successful alone on the floor, and then to have 5 or 6 or 8 sponsors all overnight, because that's like, in your mind what you should do, like, is an immense amount of pressure. So, and I've seen it play out with different athletes throughout time. So I like, getting in the protective mode and digging in, and then helping them concentrate on what is really going to help them be super successful the next 7 or 8 years. It's a ton of fun. It's what really lights my fire.
We were talking to him. I think it's good for him to have someone like you. This year's tough for him. He was working to create opportunities for himself. Now he has an abundance of opportunities, and it's hard to know what to do, how much to do, when to do it. And I told him, I said, this is a good year for you to experience things. And then, make your decisions for this year, talk to whoever and go through with it. But if you don't see the changes that you wanted to see from year 1 to year 2, making those choices, then you really have to focus in and say, okay, what do I want this year to look like from 2 to 3 to make sure that I'm actually getting where I want to go?
It's we might be looking to hire soon, Brian. So you should put your name in the hat.
Get your fucking hands off of him. Get your fucking hands off of O'Keefe.
Well, it's so on point. Like the
Can I just say something real quick? Before we invited you, we invited Noah Ohlsen on the show today. So this is one of those shows where someone's supposed to just come on for like 15 to 30 minutes, and then we go on with the show. It's like a format I wanted to play with. We did it with Colton Mertens, and you're our second time trying to do it. And first we invited Noah Ohlsen, and he responded with, "Hey, can I let you guys know tomorrow?" So then the producer, Matt Souza, is like, all right, who's next? I go, see if you can get O'Keefe to commit a little more than Noah. But no one told Noah no. And so just now he just texted us. He goes, is it time to come on the show? So what should I text him back? Should I text him back the link for the show? The show's live. Or should I be like, no, sorry, buddy. I love you. You were our first choice, but you got like.
Tell him you found somebody younger and prettier.
Yeah. Sorry.
With better abs.
We have to reschedule. We replaced you with O'Keefe.
Brian, what you were saying is on point. I think the goal is, especially with a guy like him, it was Matt, when Pat came on, and Justin and Jason, is how do you create the opportunity for them to be able to train confidently full time, feel like they're, capitalizing, earning, progressing on the business side, but not have really a whole lot to worry about on the business side. And because that part is like, that's a foreign language to a lot of those guys. It's just like, it's why, it doesn't matter if it's me or not, that, anyone who, has designs on success should get help, it's just, but yeah, he,
but what's special about him, or what's special about Medeiros? So you had Matt, and you had this playbook for Matt, and then I'm not saying playbook like you punched him into some fucking mechanical model.
My playbook was Matt was get with Matt, and then just win 5 CrossFit Games, and I'll be here to help you, buddy. So
and it's an art form, right? Because you are it's an art form. You're pushing your rat through the maze, and you want your rat to get to the cheese. And so now you have these 2 other guys, but you already have one successful rat you've pushed through the maze. I should probably use a better metaphor, sorry, just because the word rat's so bad. But and it's cool, and you've done an amazing job. Is any? Sorry, I'm gonna shift questions. Is any part of you bored with it, or lazy about it?
Not at all. No.
I'm just gonna plug Hopper in here. He'll be on a Wheaties box just like Matt was, and Medeiros, I'll get him the Ford deal, and now just go back to doing blow on a yacht in Miami.
That's a good question, because I feel like that's been my biggest attraction to sports marketing, is being a disruptor and a differentiator. It's like the whole like Jerry Maguire thing. It's like, being different and personal, and businesses personal. But it really is for me. So it's super easy, and it's fun, because it is like, it's, building a relationship with someone, my goal is like, when they're 40 and they have their kids and their family and they can look back and I had a impact on their life and the success later in life. I mean, I could do this on repeat for the rest of my life and be very happy. Like it like to speak to that, like Jason knew, Justin last year knew, it's exciting, to be a part of that and know that, what that can look like. And, Justin Medeiros could be retiring in 8 years, a wealthy man, and we could, have been a small part of that. And it's super fun and exciting. And by the way, like you're talking about, like, the Wheatie box and Ram here and Rogue there, the one of the most exciting pieces is finding the right fits for each of them. What brand is gonna, not only there's a financial end of it, but it's, like Jason wanted to be with a Nike, for instance. He grew up, he played college football, wore the swoosh, and, to be able to realize that with him, like, and it's probably, we have a great relationship, but, I'm sure a lot of my love, his love of me like, I'm attached to that with him now, right? Forever. It's like, I'm a Nike athlete, maybe people don't relate to that, but if you're a kid with that, like the biggest brand in sport history now is paying Jason Hopper to market them, that's a really big deal to some people. So those right fits are really fun. And there's like super cool brands that are huge goals of these kids. Like Rogue's a big goal for these guys, a lot of them like that. Another cool thing Bill and Katie have done is just, people that they associate with as, Rogue athletes. That's a huge badge of honor, So yeah, I mean, it's exciting.
Do you ever do that? Like one of your athletes wouldn't get invited to Rogue and you call Bill up and you're like, yo, how about an invitation for Hopper? I know he took 27th at the games. How about an invitation?
He took what, 19th? He's going to he's going to Rogue.
Did you have to swing a deal for that? Did you have to call in a favor to Bill and Katie?
That's not how it works with those guys. You can try that if you want, but that's not, there's not going to be a positive response. Nor would, like, I don't do that. Like, I think it's, I'll tell you, like, you press when you're passionate about it. I don't ask for favors. That's not a good way to live your life. Do me a favor, you owe me one. I don't do that. They don't do that to me. I don't do that to them. I don't really do that to anybody. So, like, in the grand scheme of things, everything makes sense that happens. And do you push on things at times? Sure. But it's because you're passionate about it and believe it. It's, the favor network is bullshit. Like, that stuff there's no longevity in a favor. They, like, some people say, like, oh, that's an opportunity. He'll get on the floor and win the event. Everything's earned.
I like it. So as opposed to you like calling us and being like, hey, my brother just got out of jail. He's really down. Would you have him on the podcast, and do me a favor? Instead of doing that, you might be yeah, you're right. That doesn't work. Instead, you might be like, hey, dude, my brother's got this amazing story. He just got out of jail. He was convicted wrongly for robbing 35 banks. He only robbed 32. Do you want to have him on? And I'd be like, holy shit. Now I owe you a favor.
That's it. That's some high test sales right there, Sevan. You're ready.
Matt, if someone like Jason, has the opportunity to compete at Rogue, I'm sure we'd have the opportunity to compete at Wodapalooza if he wanted to. And he's trying to decide, should I do one? Should I do the other? Should I do both? Should I do neither? How much are you involved in that? Do they come to you to ask about that? Do you care what they do?
I have different relationships with different athletes. I'm in a circle, with some of them on that side. What do you think? It's interesting. When I lived my life as, sort of Matt's +1 in competition, there was a lot less of that, if any, right? Because I think a lot of people, and they respected it and was communicated and very upfront, but it's like, you're with Matt when it comes to competition. You do a great job for me on business. We're going to keep that line in the sand. Now there's more of that,
I don't know if that's true. Matt, I feel like I feel like if I don't know, I want to push back on that. I think if Matt's going to change his toilet paper brand at his house, he asked you if he's going to switch from Charmin 2-ply to 3-ply.
You're missing what I said.
Okay.
I was saying that less people in my tribe were asking me
Other
other athletes were asking me competitive advice when I was so linked to Matt competitively, because I was Matt's coach in competition. It was a respect thing, on the female side that was different. But
instead they were all asking then, hey, is Fraser showing up to that one?
100%. Yes,
Fair.
that's right. But
Fair.
no, yeah, certainly, Brian. Like at times, and I mean, I just like whatever anybody needs. I think I have a unique perspective on the sport. Like I'm not a programmer or a coach. I've watched enough of it and been around enough of these guys that I can give them a strong opinion on what I think is right and wrong. Some of them like to compete a lot, and it's the right answer, like, because of what their real goal is. But to speak what you were talking about before, some people want to make hay in the off season,
Who
cares? Keith, you're a gambling man, right?
I mean, I like to play table games occasionally and maybe gamble on the golf course a little here and there, depending. But I'm very confident on the golf course, so that's not gambling.
Who?
Maybe we'll do a little Rogue Invitational wager. I got an idea. I'll run it by you.
Well, we were doing full disclosure here to all the listeners, all three of you. We were wagering on who would win, predicting who would win workouts at West Coast Classic, and we were doing a pretty good job of that.
Who, you and Brian?
Yeah, and Matt got it. Matt got in the mix. Hopper got in the mix. But
and then and then there was one workout where we were all wrong. Like we all thought Dallin was going to crush this one workout. It was his worst workout.
Who's going to win, Jacob or Josh? Matt.
Oof.
In the fight?
Yeah.
Josh.
He is.
Yeah, I like both those guys. I'm good friends with Josh, so like sorry, Jacob, I'm a homer for Josh for sure. Josh is a really good friend of mine, and but I think Josh is a warrior. I mean, how do you fuck with?
Well, that's true. That's true in the most realist sense, right? I mean, that's not even just like
that's not
romanticizing him. He was a professional warrior.
I mean, he's got fight in him that is at a level that none of us can relate to. So,
right.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I mean,
he flies tomorrow, or is it tonight?
He must be so happy about going to the Middle East again.
I honestly, he's really good with it. He's just a super dad too. He's probably just dreading leaving his kids, and other than that, he's pumped out of his mind.
I don't think I'm gonna get to watch. I'm really bummed. I'm psyched. I'm gonna be at Pat's wedding, but I don't think Pat's gonna live stream the fight during the party.
Pat who?
Pat Vellner.
Oh, he's not married?
No. They were supposed to get married, but COVID canceled it last year. So they had the baby, and
I'm really impressed.
Sure he told you that.
Who, me?
Yeah,
everyone, all the podcasts mesh into one. I don't even know who we're talking to now. Is this Matt Fraser? No, Matt O'Keefe. That's awesome. That makes because I had kids out of wedlock, and that's really I'm really impressed that he would not be like such a lot of people are just like tools and they just follow the protocol that's been laid out, and I'm really impressed that he was able to blaze his own trail on that.
I'm psyched. Good. I'm going up there Saturday night. I leave, and I'm going on a boat trip. This is really funny, actually. I'm going on a boat trip with all of Pat's university buddies.
Huh?
We rented 2 houseboats on this lake that's like, it is north like you've never been north in your life, like 6 hours north of Vancouver. And originally when we were going, Pat was just busting me on this. It was Matt, Sammy, me, Brent, and Claire were going to go. And now Brent's not going. Brent and Claire aren't going. Matt and Sammy aren't going. So I'm going on this boat trip with Pat and all of his college couple friends. My wife isn't even going to be there because she's coming out Thursday for the wedding.
Oh, so you're going to feel old as shit.
Oh, yeah. And I get this email from Pat like 2 weeks ago, and he was like, "Hey, can you take this test?" And I was like, "For what?" He's like, "So you can drive the boat."
Oh
And I was like,
shit!
oh, I get it. The sober guy that's 44 years old comes to Canada. My agent's coming to drive the boat.
I'm looking on a map. When you say 6 hours, you're going up that.
We're going like north of Kelowna, which is where Brent is, I believe. So Brent's in Kelowna, but I think it's like 2 hours from Kelowna even, which is 4 hours from Vancouver. I don't even know where I'm going.
So you're
honestly.
going up that thing. I don't even know what that strait is called. You're going. Let me see. It's called the Malaspina Strait or the Strait of Georgia. That's what you're going up. You're talking about Vancouver, Canada, right?
Yeah, so his wedding is on Vancouver Island, just off of Vancouver proper. But we're going north for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. We're on boats, just chilling on a lake.
And do you sleep on the boat?
Oh, yeah, they're like 65-foot houseboats, and there's like 20 people going.
Wow. And you don't know any of them except for Pat and his wife?
I just found out I know one other person, the guy who did the documentaries with, or like the series All In with Pat
Tyler?
and Brent. Tyler Hind, yeah.
And yeah, he's a cool guy. I've met him a couple of times.
So he's going. So he's my.
Dude, O'Keefe, you should reinvent yourself on that fucking trip. You should like put on a wig and get like a corn pipe and be like smoking sage and just weird shit and rosemary and just build this whole.
Just bring a new man back to my wife when I pick her up.
Different persona. Just try something out. Just try some Jim Carrey. Just see if you can lose your mind on that trip.
I mean, we should just. I'll find some good Wi-Fi and we'll do a podcast from there, and I'll let you watch all the shenanigans. You know?
Yeah. Who's the guy who does the
Just don't live stream from inside the ropes.
What? Oh, yes. Does O'Keefe know that story?
What did you do, Brian? Is that how you got thrown out of the game?
Yes. Day one. Can you imagine that?
I didn't know you got thrown out, by the way. But if you told me you got thrown out, I thought it might have been your, aggressive, which I think justified opinion on certain things. But it's nice to hear it wasn't that.
No, and I actually still did all the work I was supposed to do for them. And I was respectful of their decision, and it worked out.
You live streamed an event?
I don't even know if I'd call it an event. It was a master's event.
Oh, boy. You are messing with the wrong group of people in the CrossFit community saying that.
We were promoting. Oh, man.
Hobart was competing. It was great.
And
the problem was Sevan starts asking me all these questions about what's going on in the event, and I can't help myself. I know all the athletes, so I just started talking. Yeah, this guy's in the lead. This guy's chasing him down. I think this is going to happen. Here's the finish. Boom, boom, boom. And I wasn't thinking at all. I was just responding to Sevan. I basically commentated the event, but it was such a shitty quality video. No one could see anything.
He's like, look, there's James Hobart, and it's like this little dot running across the screen. I mean... They should have paid us money, not kick Brian off the team.
Oh my God, that's amazing. Good for you.
Nuts.
I saw Dylan that night. He saw me sitting there. I was looking all sad, and he's like, "What's up, dude?" I'm like, "I got kicked out."
Dylan was like 10 days into getting his ass kicked at that point. We had been there for like a week already doing the athlete check. I mean, the games was some kind of beatdown this year. We did a lot more work than we've ever done at the games, and it was I found a new level of exhaustion after that. That was absolute madness.
It must be a real downer because when I was there doing the behind the scenes, I always had breath mints for you. Do you remember that?
My breath did not smell very good this year. I thought of you in a moment this year when a good friend said, "Hey, you need some gum." And I was like, this used to be taken care of for me every year.
Yeah. I don't know if I ever told you that, Brian, but I don't use Listerine strips, but it was always my treat at any behind the scenes.
You had them at the regionals.
Yes.
You were passing them out. I remember. And
I would be obsessed with them. I would buy like so many packs. And then whenever I used to see Ben Bergeron or Matt O'Keefe, I think you were the only people besides people in my crew that I shared them with, but I felt like this kinship with them because I would always share them and they would always accept them. And there was something kind of like
Albany.
Okay. And there was always something I felt kind of like I was being naughty by giving you them to them, because like you have to put your finger and slide them out. Like I was doing something illegal, you know, just the way you dole those things out.
And you like in those times too, like you were fraternizing with like the pigs in the trough. You know, it was like, you know, you weren't supposed to be associated with us at that time.
But I did.
You were amazing. Yeah,
You were the dark characters.
That was Carson, Albany. Oh man, I didn't even know Sevan. My introduction to him was he put a Listerine pack in front of me.
Would you like some Listerine? Would you like a Listerine strip, Mr. O'Keefe? So you know, do you floss? Are you an avid flosser?
I do every day. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty. Whenever I think that my breath might be bad, I just double down on the flossing, and it always ends up that there was like something back there rotting, like like some.
Like 6 ounces of a steak, or
like if I see flies like coming in out of my nose, like, you know, more than like 2 or 3 times an hour, I'm like, that's weird. Maybe I should. And I feel them like crawling back down into my throat. I'm like, maybe I should floss.
Sevan, you should get on HWPO. We should start to train you.
I'm untrainable. I'm a broken old man. I only ride the assault bike and do pull-ups.
I'm testing some stuff right now, like as the old man, to see if the volume's too much for another track, like a shortened version. And I am broken right now. And it's because I hadn't back squatted or front squatted heavy or even significantly at all for years. And I'm like in a squat cycle with Matt's program now. And I get through it in the allotted time, but I'm feeling, I said something in his kitchen last night. I'm like, I don't know how anybody competes at my age. I mean, I put my body through hell with sports, but like, dude, I am to be able to do that volume is crazy to me.
Dude,
those guys are insane.
There's these people who like do Murph like 100 days in a row. I'm following this guy on Instagram who's done Murph 100 days in a row. Is
that the kid that used to coach at Reebok? Zathan, the kid who was in St. Thomas.
I wish I could remember his name.
I think Jordan Samuel also did like 30 straight days of strict Murph or something.
Do I have my phone here? Let's see if someone Sevan, your back is fixable. The info out there. Stop arguing your limitations. I swear to God, I hope you're right. Thank you, Christian Leon. But I don't think it is. My back is like on my basic. But do you wake up in the morning stiff, O'Keefe? I don't mean that kind of stiff. I mean like
Yes, my calves and Achilles are always like, they take like a little bit of motion to get going. My knees are really good, but no, my ankles and Achilles.
When you take your morning piss, do you put your hand on the wall in front of you?
Often.
Yeah, that's old man shit. I never did that, and now I do that. Like if I wake up in the middle of the night or in the morning when I take a piss, I put my hand on the wall. Because like something in my core isn't like warmed up or activated, and it just feels like if I just leaned over too far, like my torso would fall off my fucking waist. You know what I mean? Like some Lego character. I swear to God, it feels like that. And then you know, I have a cup of coffee, and I walk around the house. I take the trash out. I open the blinds. I water some plants outside. Next thing I know, I can touch my toes, no problem. But that first hour is crazy, and basically, I just don't want to risk hurting it. So when I squat, I always do the same squats. I squat with a 40-pound D-ball.
Well, why don't you do do you do a lot of burpees?
I do a shit ton of burpees.
Yeah, me too. I'm on this like 100 a day thing for a year, which was like one of the worst decisions I've ever made in my life.
Okay, so compared to you, I grossly exaggerated. I do not do a shit. I do probably 100 burpees. I probably do anywhere from 100 to 300 burpees a week. But and that's a lot. I'm
doing 700 a week. Yeah.
Yeah. How is that? What? How?
It is amazing. You know, part of the reason. So now I'm like back doing like more, you know, weights and some, you know, Olympic lifts and things like that, which I love CrossFit. You know, I had just gotten away and done CrossFit a little bit more body weight and machine, you know, which is all, honestly, I feel like I need. But I just got honed in. Every workout I do essentially had a burpee in it, some way, shape, or form. which, you know, for a CrossFitter that loves CrossFit sucks, right? Because there's nothing to look forward to. You know,
And big old dudes. You got the double whammy. Burpees are hard for old dudes and big dudes. So you got like the
I'm where I'm going with that is that I've done a lot of burpees this year. Like I love burpees now, and from a fitness perspective, like I love, you know, getting to the point with them and grinding on them. Like they're honestly, like you don't need anything else. Like you want to get your heart rate up, stay strong in your core, and you know get you know get after it. Do 100 burpees or do 10 on the minute for 10 minutes. Or,
I did that a lot. I used to do that. That was my go-to. Drunk as fuck, midnight, in the hotel room, 10 on the minute for 10 minutes. Hot shower, go to bed.
That's hard. Like you try to keep that around like 20, 21 seconds for that like you're blasting at the end.
Is that so? What time of day do you do those 100?
I'm at the point now that I'm like so over it that I'm doing like blotches of them most days where like, you know, I'll warm up with them, do 20, you know, I'll do some in a workout and I'll finish, or like you know, some days I'm doing 150 in a workout and the next day 150 because I missed a day, you know. It's all over the place. You know, some nights it's like, you know, I still have to do them tonight. Like I'm gonna get off this.
Oh shit!
I'll do 10 on the minute for 10 minutes tonight and just, you know.
So I can't even really do, like if now if I'm gonna do 100, let's say I haven't worked out today either, and now you kind of inspire me. If I went in the garage and I was gonna do 100 burpees, I would first ride the assault bike for 10 minutes.
That machine's like
just lightly, like 110 calories or something.
Okay, that's spinning, so that's not bad.
Yeah, 57 RPMs, 58 RPMs, but I can't. If I just broke into 100 burpees, once again I might break in half.
Do you have a?
Do you know my kid did 100 burpees in 441 the other day? Avi.
Stop it.
441.
That's
legit burpees.
That's really fast.
Yeah.
I do that occasionally to like see my progress, but
I don't do that.
It is not in under 5 minutes. I promise you that.
91 minutes. Is there anything you'd like to say to Matt O'Keefe?
So this is a great 20 minutes.
Yeah, thank you.
Sorry about that.
No, that was awesome. I love it that it's our show and that some people are waiting for the all-time top 10 CrossFit Games competitors, and now we're not going to do it. Shit happens.
Just dump it on them and drop the mic.
Bam.
We
got to milk that for a show. Don't you dare, Brian. We got to milk that for a show. And Ryan's like pissed because he got all the slides and shit ready, and now instead he had to listen to us bullshit with Matt O'Keefe.
Who are this is history, like top. Let's tease it. This is top 10 male and females combined.
So what we're gonna do is we were gonna revise the top 10 men or the top, 25 or so men, 25 or so women, because there's some changes after this year, obviously. Mm-hmm. And then yes, also do the top 10 combined list.
So top 25 of each in history, and then top 10 in history.
Mm-hmm.
I bet I can write down who your list is.
Okay, send it my way, and I'll let you know. Well, we'll pull up when we do the show. We'll pull up O'Keefe's predictions.
1, 2, and 3 are easy.
Because you've read my recent article. But I'll have some, I'm sitting on some stats and some thoughts that I haven't shared with anyone really, that I'll talk about when I, not just putting out an arbitrary list. Like I put a lot of thought and time into it.
There's some current guys that have some hardware.
Yeah.
There's there's some, guys like, Pat and Brent have, started to put a significant amount of resume together, It's, there's some impressive stuff going on with these careers right now.
Who's going to win the games next year, O'Keefe?
Tia.
Right.
I don't. If she competes, I don't know. She will. I mean, she's gonna hopefully go to the Olympics. So.
She is.
Yeah.
What?
I think for bobsled.
Holy shit.
I think it's going to be a cool story, She go to the Olympics, come back, go to the CrossFit Games. Second time she's done an Olympic, games double in a year. I don't know, like on the guy's side, it's I still think, even after this year, I mean, because you can look at this year too, and Justin was insanely good. But you can also look at some stuff some other guys did and say, like Pat, if Pat finishes 20th in the swim, he's going into the last workout in the lead, you know? And you know, that's easy to say, oh, if he just finished 18 places better than he did in an event. But that event was, you know, a lot of that was the paddle for him. It had nothing to do with the swim uniquely, funny enough. But I think it's another year of like, you know, there's like 6 or 7 guys in play there. You know, Justin's going to get better. Jason's going to get a lot better.
Justin's the new Matt Fraser. He's not beatable.
I think anybody's beatable.
No.
Justin's a great guy. Honestly, he's what a string he put together this year. That was pretty impressive.
Justin Medeiros and Tia Toomey.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
I don't make the predictions. Brian does.
Good. That's what you should have just opened with. Instead, you had to be like, "Fuck, I'm going to see Vellner next week at his wedding. I better say some nice shit about him."
I mean, you don't think Vellner can win the CrossFit Games?
No. That was his last chance because Jason Medeiros is going to get so much better, and Justin Medeiros, Justin Hopper, and Jason Medeiros. No, Medeiros is just like, it was too good what he did. He told us all the way he won that last event. He's just like, that was like him like, okay, I'm here to stay. I'm here.
That was
that 3-2-1 nonsense he pulled. That's like, all right, all y'all can eat a dick. I'm here.
It was super impressive, that last workout.
Super. It was more than enough. I'm convinced. It's like he put that wax on there and put the little stamp on there. And like, I know it's hard for Brian to process because he's deeply in love with
it. No. The 3-2-1 thing is like, okay, but events 12, 13, 14, Vellner was 3-2-1.
Okay, here we go.
Just saying. You know.
Here we go.
Sevan doesn't want to weigh in until he's challenged on this stuff. Brian, just quiet. Don't
Brian just loves Patrick Vellner like so much that it's like he's his kryptonite. He's his kryptonite.
I think I've done a fair assessment of him every time we've done a ranking show or predictions.
Did you pick him to win this year?
Yes.
I think that was a fair choice.
Yeah. And
I think it was too. I think it was too.
And I picked Fikowski third. And I had Medeiros seventh.
Yeah, Justin seventh.
I had him seventh, but I also had him on the short list of 4 people who I thought had the chance to win.
Yeah. Don't worry. I heard from his father where you picked him.
Whose father?
Justin's.
Oh,
he's awesome. He's amazing. At the after party, I heard about that.
If there's one reason I could have gone to you got muted yourself, Brian. If there's one reason I could have gone to the games this year, it would have been to see Fikowski. Did he just look like 3 human beings in one? He looked huge on the video feed. I mean, he almost. Lean. And just huge though, right? I mean, he looked like a monster.
He is. He's a specimen. I mean, he looked really good this year too, like really good.
He almost looked like too big, like almost like he had the Noah thing going on. Like, oh shit, really? Maybe you brought too much muscle to the party.
Man, he did well in some stuff that you would think would not stacked in his favor, like that thruster. I mean, and I know he did well with the wall walk thing in the open, but I mean, even at that level, like heavier thrusters, and I mean, he's put some stuff together that he wasn't very good at.
And he was
time domain's a huge factor for Fikowski historically. Everything that's like 7 to 15 minutes, he's amazing. It doesn't really matter what it is. It's like he dominates that time domain. That's why he did so terrible in stage 1 of the games in 2020. There was only 1 workout in that time domain. When like 90% of CrossFit workouts are in that time domain. Can
you just let us be? You stop with the objective behavior and let us just.
Do you know the company Strong Coffee, Matt?
I do not.
Oh, it's I'm trying to remember the guy's name. He's coming on the podcast tomorrow. Von Rothfelder? Andrew? Damn, what's his first name? Ryan, do you know his name?
He's going to get some marketing opportunity.
Wait, did I say Andrew? Sorry. Who's Andrew?
Sevan,
Ryan,
is
do you
this
know
it?
his name?
Is
Oh,
this the
yeah,
one?
that's the stuff. Yeah.
Let's see.
Wait, I think I'm curious who this guy is now because I met him at a HYROX event, and
You could-
he gave me a sample of his.
Have you done one of those?
I did the partner version with a girl from the gym.
Weakness. I did a full one of those. I got tossed in down in Florida. They're like, you should try it, O'Keefe. And I'm like, okay, great. An hour and a half later, I'm still lumbering in that thing. What a beatdown.
Yeah, if you do it individually, like you have to be very intentional with the sleds in rounds 2 and 3 because that can just destroy you.
Dude, I was at an event, a FIBO event in Miami, checking it out because we've talked to them about doing some stuff at Waza historically, and they're like, we would like you to try it. And I was with Matt, and Matt was heckling me for an hour and a half. So the sled, they're like, give us feedback. I'm like, the sled is ridiculous. Like you could be half the weight and it would still do the trick.
Well, even if you watch Hunter McIntyre and the best in the world do it, when they get to the sled, especially the sled push, they'll do 5 steps and stop the whole way because it's so early in the event. If you just push it across at one time, you might ruin yourself for the rest of the thing.
I did my HYROX with him in a group of those guys like Isaiah, whatever, from Spartan. I did it with all those guys. I finished last.
That was like me in the ruck run.
Wait, why did you do one of those events? Why are you guys? That's the thing Hunter McIntyre does, right? That sheriff dude that I had on the podcast.
I got roped into it. It was like we talked to them about some work, and they wanted me to try it, and it was a terrible decision. Talk about hobbling around for like 2 weeks.
Have you met that guy, Hunter?
I used to represent Hunter.
Oh, you did?
Yes.
Oh shit! I had no idea. Wow. He kind of won my heart. Not kind of. He did win my heart over. I really didn't like him, for just like completely biased, I just resented the fact that someone could be invited to the CrossFit Games, and then I had him on the show the other day, and it was quite pleasant.
I've known him a long time. I like him. That we don't not work together for any other reason that he just took a different path, but I've always liked Hunter.
Are you watching golf right now, Matt? Be honest.
I'm watching the last minute of the GOAT, Tom Brady.
Oh, he said some dumb shit the other day. God,
What did he say?
He just said some dumb shit just around the vaccine. He's just a nut.
I didn't hear that.
He's just a nut.
He's the greatest of all time.
Fine. Are you watching the U.S. Open, the tennis at all? Do you watch any tennis?
A little bit. I love Wimbledon. I watch that. I usually watch the U.S. Although why wasn't the U.S. Open final on Labor Day? Isn't that usually the case?
I don't know. This is the first year I've watched it because my kid's playing tennis and his instructor makes him watch it. And holy crap, that shit is amazing. This guy Djokovic is a freak of nature. Those
guys are. There's those 3 guys. What's going on in tennis right now is insane.
Nadal, Federer, and Djokovic.
I mean, it's like the golden era. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So dominant.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy. Like there's a couple athletes in each sport.
It's like when your kid wants to leave, he's like, no.
I'll stop.
I have to. I want to. Do you want to just? Are you coming on the podcast tomorrow morning, Brian?
Maybe.
It's at 7:30. It's with the coffee guy. Come on there and kiss his ass, and maybe you get some free coffee. I feel like I'm cheating on Josh Bridges, but but for some reason I'm attracted to this guy. Like I think he might be really cool.
Sam Dancer is a part owner in that company, O'Keefe.
Oh, that's how I know. I know.
Yeah.
I know that. Yeah, I do know that. Oh, that's cool. So you're having him on when Josh is in the air on his way to Dubai. That's cute.
The coffee guy that I love while he's in the air. Oh shit! I hope I'm not jinxing him.
Oh man. I figured you'd be on the plane with him going to watch this fight. I was hoping you'd be in his corner.
I should be. An hour and 43 minutes. Thank you.
All right,
Ryan.
Adios.
Can you hang up on the live stream